Wemby just went crazy again. Wemby was unstoppable tonight against the Chicago Bulls. His stat line shows exactly how dominant he was from start to finish. In 36 minutes, he scored 38 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, dished out 5 assists, and blocked 5 shots while shooting 11 for 19 from the field. He hit 6 of 9 from 3, making 66.7% from deep, and went a perfect 10 for 10 from the free throw line. That's 100% efficiency at the stripe. He finished the game with a plus 13 and committed only 3 turnovers, showing remarkable control despite carrying such a heavy workload. Statistically, it was one of the most complete performances of the entire season. What makes the numbers even crazier is how they were distributed. Wemby entered halftime with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 blocks, already setting the tone for a huge night. By the end of the third quarter, he had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. But then came the fourth quarter, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 for 8 shooting, and 3 for 3 from beyond the arc, all while playing every single minute of the frame. That's not just a strong finish, it's absolute takeover mode, backed by data. He single-handedly erased a 13-point deficit in that stretch, producing 10 straight points during one run. The Bulls' defense had no statistical solution. Wemby became the first player in NBA history to record at least 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 three-pointers in a single game. That line alone defines versatility. He didn't just dominate the paint, he destroyed from the perimeter, hitting 6 threes on 9 tries for an effective field goal percentage near 75%. Combine that with his true shooting percentage of roughly 70% tonight, and you get a level of scoring efficiency rarely seen from a 7'3" player. Every category was elite. His 12 rebounds ranked higher than 95% of players in a single game sample, and his 5 blocks matched that dominance on defense. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, his impact stretched beyond scoring. Wemby created 8 points directly off his 5 assists, meaning he had direct involvement in nearly half of San Antonio's 121 points. Add that to his own 38, and he accounted for roughly 46% of the team's total offense. Defensively, his 5 blocks and 11 defensive rebounds ensured that Chicago's shot quality dropped off a cliff. The Bulls shot just 28% in the fourth, while San Antonio hit 43%, directly linked to Wemby's rim protection and rebounding presence. His individual defensive rebound percentage for the game sat near 35%, an elite mark showing he secured over 1/3 of available misses while on the floor. By any statistical measure, scoring, efficiency, rebounding, playmaking, or rim protection, Wemby's performance tonight was historic. He didn't just lead his team, he completely dictated every statistical category on both ends. 38 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, perfect free throws, and 6 made threes. It was all efficiency, no wasted motion. The numbers prove it. Tonight, Wemby wasn't just good, he was statistically unstoppable. But I want to talk about this. When Wemby and De'Aaron Fox share the floor, the scoring data looks straight up unfair. Wemby's putting up 24.3 points per game, ranking ahead of more than 95% of players in the entire league. That's dominant output for a player who's still learning the rhythm of an NBA offense. His effective field goal percentage sits at 52.2%, which already clears nearly half the league. That's an efficiency mark built off pure shot versatility. He averages 7.92 pointers made and almost 1 made three-pointer every night, while attempting 17.7 shots. That balance tells you how he can attack anywhere on the floor. Combine that with his true shooting percentage of 57.3, and it's clear how well-rounded his scoring profile really is. Wemby generates 1.1 points per scoring attempt, meaning every single time he shoots, he's producing positive offensive value at a rate better than most players. Now pair that with Fox. De'Aaron's scoring data this season is wild. He's averaging 24 points per game himself, sitting higher than 95% of players in that category. What makes it even scarier is the difference in efficiency between him and nearly everyone else. His effective field goal percentage is an absurd 71.4%, better than 90% of players. That's not normal guard efficiency. That's big man in the paint level finishing mixed with perimeter control. His field goals come from 7 two-pointers and 2 three-pointers made per game on just 14 total attempts. That's precision shooting. He's converting nearly everything he touches into points. His true shooting percentage is 75%, a mark so high it nearly breaks advanced metric charts. Every shot Fox takes is worth 1.5 points on average. That's 50% higher efficiency than Wemby's already elite mark. When you put those together, their combined production reaches nearly 50 points per game with staggering efficiency. Think about that. One's giving you 24.3 on 57% true shooting, and the other's dropping 24 on 75% true shooting. That's a statistical nightmare for any defense trying to slow them down. Their combined effective field goal percentage averages out near 62%, putting them above nearly every offensive pairing in the league. They're not just scoring at a high rate, they're doing it with minimal waste. Each of them averages over 1 point per field goal attempt, meaning possessions end with points almost every time. Wemby's inside dominance, shown through his near 8 2-point field goals per night, forces defenses to collapse, while Fox's accuracy from mid-range and beyond stretches the floor in the opposite direction. The data shows an offense with near-perfect spatial bound. One player pulling defenders out, the other punishing them inside. Statistically, it's rare to see this kind of dual scoring efficiency. Players who shoot as often as Wemby typically hover around 50% true shooting, but he's pushing nearly 60. Guards with Fox's volume usually sit around 55% true shooting, yet he's a full 20 points higher. That differential means every time both share the court, the team's expected points per possession skyrockets. If you average out their efficiency, you get 1.3 points per scoring attempt combined. That number alone would rank them among the most productive duos in the modern game. The league average is roughly 1.1 points per possession, so they're operating significantly above that mark together. That's the definition of unfair production. The math backs it all up too. Wemby's 17.7 shot attempts at 52% effective field goal equals roughly 9 made shots per night. Add Fox's 14 attempts at 71%, and he's hitting around 10 per game. That's nearly 20 made shots between them on 31 combined attempts. No other current duo sustains that type of hit rate. When both are rolling, they're creating 50 points off just 30 possessions, leaving no margin for opposing defenses. The defense can't commit double teams because the numbers don't favor it. Any shift in coverage opens up another high-value attempt. Efficiency like that bends a defensive structure beyond repair. The synergy in their numbers explains everything. Wemby draws attention inside, and that's why he maintains a strong, true shooting percentage even with heavy volume. Fox, meanwhile, capitalizes on the open lanes and rhythm shots that come from that gravity, which inflates his metrics to record level. You can literally see it in the stats. Fox's effective field goal percentage, jumping into the 70s, proves how many of his looks come in rhythm or with space. When paired, the two essentially trade off high-efficiency attempts. One trip might be a Fox pull-up from mid-range worth 1.5 points per attempt. The next, a Wemby finish worth 1.1. Add those back-to-back, and the average efficiency of their combined possessions is unmatched. If you model it out across a full game, they produce nearly 50 combined points while using only about 30% of the team's possession. That's efficiency most offenses could only dream of. For comparison, duos with similar scoring volume usually hover between 50 and 55% true shooting as a tandem, while these two are pushing an average near 66. That difference equates to an additional 8 to 10 points every game without increasing shot volume. It's pure statistical dominance, and that's before you even factor in their free throw attempts. Wemby takes 7.2 per game, and Fox takes 5. That's 12 extra chances at free points, which combined adds another 10 points per night at the line. Efficiency, stacked on top of efficiency. Defensively, opponents have no data-supported solution. The metrics show that when both are on the court, opposing bigs face increased foul rates due to Wemby's pressure in the paint, while guards give up higher effective field goal percentages, trying to contest Fox's mid-range rhythm. That imbalance feeds right back into their scoring stats, reinforcing why they're both in the top 5% of players for points per game. What's wild is how complementary their efficiency metrics are. Wemby's effective field goal percentage looks average only because he takes more difficult shots inside with heavy contact. Fox's, on the other hand, stays sky high because his shot selection thrives off the spacing Wemby creates. When you merge those shot profiles, you get a complete, balanced scoring attack. Statistically, this kind of partnership's been almost non-existent. Guards who average 24 points typically need 20 attempts, but Fox needs only 14. Big men who score 24 usually sit near 70% from the line, but Wemby's maintaining strong true shooting above 57%, which is elite for his role. Add those rates together, and you get near 100% scoring reliability between possessions. That means if you give them 100 touches combined, Data suggests they'll produce at least 100 points worth of offensive value over time. That's how the analytics describe an unstoppable duo. Steady, repeatable, efficient. Their percentile ranks prove it. Wemby's above 95% in points per game, above 48% in effective field goal percentage, and above 53% in true shooting percent. Fox matches or exceeds those, ranking above 95% in scoring and 90% in effective field goal percentage, with a true shooting mark higher than 90% of players. Together, they overlap at the very top of the efficiency chart. That combination means the team gains elite scoring at two different positions, front court and back court, without any trade-off in usage. Efficiency models project that if both maintain their current rates, their team's offensive rating could sit among the league's all-time best. That's not hype, it's math. In advanced scoring terms, both exceed 1 point per field goal attempt and both convert nearly every scoring opportunity into measurable production. Wemby's 1.1 points per attempt and Fox's 1.5 push them into an exclusive tier of players capable of bending statistical norms. The average starter lands near 1 point per attempt. These two not only beat that, but sustain it while taking more shots. So when both hit their averages, they're producing about 20% more scoring efficiency than the league median. Those numbers stack up over time, and across a full season, that difference could swing outcomes in dozens of games. All of it comes down to simple arithmetic. High volume plus elite efficiency equals dominance. Wemby's 17 shots plus Fox's 14 combine for 31 efficient possessions every night. Multiply by their points per attempt rates, and you're left with roughly 42 to 46 points, generated purely from shooting efficiency, not counting assists or second chance opportunities. That's why every time they're on the court together, their team's offensive output spikes dramatic. The numbers don't lie. This duo's scoring synergy isn't just productive, it's statistically unfair to everyone else trying to stop it. And the thing is, we can do this too. When Wemby and Cornet share the floor, rebounding numbers start to look completely broken. Wemby's pulling down 12.9 rebounds per game, ranking ahead of more than 97% of players in the entire league. That's not just elite, it's generational control of the glass. His defensive rebounding alone sits at 11.3 boards per game, proving how he dominates possessions by cleaning up misses at an elite rate. His offensive rebounds sit at 1.6, which might look modest, but it's still higher than more than 60% of players. The advanced data shows that Wemby grabs 5.02% of all available offensive rebounds when he's on the floor, meaning every time a shot goes up, there's a measurable chance he's getting it back. That might not sound wild until you realize his defensive rebound percentage is 31.1. That's among the absolute best in basketball history. Wemby's pulling in nearly 1/3 of all missed shots on the defensive end while he's out there, and that level of control alone can shift entire games. Now add Cornet into that mix and everything turns chaotic for the opposition. Cornet's averaging 8 rebounds per game, ranking higher than 84% of the league. But it's how those rebounds break down that makes the pairing unfair. Cornet's offensive rebounding is his secret weapon. He's averaging 5 offensive rebounds per night, ranking above 94% of players in that specific area. That's a staggering number for anyone, but it becomes lethal when paired with someone like Wemby, who already vacuums up defensive boards. Cornet's offensive rebound percentage is an absurd 16.13%, meaning he's grabbing roughly 1 in every 6 available offensive rebounds while he's playing. That's pure hustle and positional instinct turning missed shots into new possession. Defensively, Cornet collects about 3 boards per game with a defensive rebound percentage of 10.71. That's fine on its own. But when you combine his interior energy with Wemby's reach and timing, they basically form an unbreakable rebounding wall. Together, their statistical profiles create one of the most dominant front-court rebounding duos imaginable. Wemby's defensive rebounding numbers make him the ultimate possession stopper, while Cornet's offensive rebounding data turns him into a possession extender. It's a perfect contrast. While one ends plays, the other creates new ones. When both share the court, their combined rebounding output approaches 21 per game. But what's even crazier is how balanced it is between offensive and defensive sides. Wemby takes ownership of the defensive end with 11.3 boards per game, and Cornet thrives on the offensive glass with 5. Add Wemby's 1.6 offensive rebounds, and the two of them combine for nearly 7 offensive rebounds per night. That's 7 second chance opportunities every single game, just from their effort and positioning. The data behind that paints an even deeper story. Wemby's 31.1 defensive rebound percentage means that when he's in the game, he's grabbing almost 1 out of every 3 missed shots from opponents. That's a rate typically reserved for all-time elite rebounders. Cornet's 16.1 offensive rebound percentage sits in a zone occupied by pure specialists, players whose main skill is crashing the boards. So when the two play together, the numbers essentially cancel out any opposing rebounding advantage. Cornet's offensive rebound dominance forces opponents to keep multiple bodies near him, which frees Wemby to control the defensive paint without resisting. Every shot becomes a low-reward gamble for opponents. If they miss, there's a 2 in 3 chance Wemby or Cornet ends up with it. Looking purely at per-possession data, Wemby's grabbing over 5% of offensive rebounds and 31% of defensive ones, while Cornet's pulling 16% on the offensive end and nearly 11 on defense. That combination pushes their combined rebounding control percentage to over 60% in shared minutes. Essentially, 6 out of every 10 missed shots on either side of the floor are likely to be recovered by one of them. That's not just efficient, it's suffocating. The defense can hold strong because they always finish plays with a board, and the offense keeps thriving because Cornet continuously resets possessions with offensive rebound. When Wemby's on the floor without Cornet, most of his rebounds come in transition or off defensive stops. His presence alone elevates his team's defensive rebound rate dramatically, but the offensive boards drop slightly because he often plays further from the rim to stretch space. Insert Cornet into that mix, and suddenly, every missed shot becomes a scoring chance. Cornet's positioning underneath complements Wemby's length perfectly. The numbers prove it. Cornet's 5 offensive rebounds per night don't just extend plays, they directly increase the team's shot attempts, while Wemby's 11 defensive rebounds eliminate the opponents. Over the course of a game, that means their team gains at least 10 more total shot opportunities than their opponent on average. Over a season, that statistical edge compounds into wins. It's easy to see why the data calls Wemby's rebounding elite, ranking ahead of 97% of players in total boards per game puts him in an all-time tier. But what makes the numbers even more staggering is how efficient his rebounds are. Most of his 11 defensive rebounds per night are clean possession, secured without losing control or needing tip-outs. His 31.1 defensive rebound percentage demonstrates unmatched positioning and timing. That's not luck or physical size alone. It's consistent mechanical discipline. When a player dominates that highest share of defensive boards, it tells you he's the first read on every miss. Cornet's side of the numbers adds the chaos fact. His 5 offensive rebounds per game come through constant activity, body control, and smart positioning near the rim. A 16% offensive rebound rate is practically unheard of for a modern big, especially when not playing 35 minutes a night. It's why his ranking sits higher than 94% of players in offensive rebound percentage. Even though his defensive rebounding mark isn't near Wemby's, that's not a flaw. It's a compliment. Cornet's energy goes towards securing the toughest rebounds to grab, the ones that extend possessions and create momentum swings. When both are rebounding at these levels, the statistical outcome is domination across the entire glass. Opponents rarely get second chances because Wemby clears nearly all defensive misses, while Cornet ensures his team gets additional looks every trip down the floor. Advanced rebounding models show that when two players combine one elite defensive rebounder with one elite offensive rebounder, the expected margin in total rebounds per game increases exponentially, not linearly. The reason's simple. Every additional possession one player creates or ends directly amplifies the value of the other's rebounds. In this case, Wemby's defensive security increases the importance of Cornet's offensive effort, and Cornet's offensive control makes Wemby's defensive rebounds more impactful. Their combined output of nearly 21 boards per night doesn't even capture the ripple effect. Every rebound Wemby grabs often leads to transition opportunities, while Cornet's or offensive boards reset half-court possessions. That contrast keeps defenses from ever getting comfortable. Statistically, lineups featuring both show significant increases in total rebound percentage and second chance points per possession. Even without touching efficiency or scoring, just rebounding control from these two swings games, teams relying on volume shooting struggle because the margin for error disappears. One missed shot against them can turn into 2 or 3 extra possessions for their side. Another critical element from the data is the percentile difference. Wemby's rebounding percentile above 97 means only a handful of players come close to his level of control. Cornet's percentile, above 84, places him well into the top quartile of rebounder, but in offensive rebounding alone, he's near the very top of the league. Together, their percentile overlap covers almost every rebounding category possible. One ranks top 5% defensively, the other top 6% offensively. There's no gap left uncovered statistically. When analyzing rebound efficiency, the concept of total rebound percentage, how many total available boards a player collects, becomes the main indicator. Combining Wemby's 31% defensive and 5% offensive with Cornet's 16% offensive and 11% defensive gives a combined total rebound influence hovering around 63% in their shared time. That's well beyond elite. It's the kind of rebounding dominance that makes entire teams alter their shot selection just to minimize rebounding battle. From an advanced metrics perspective, their synergy fits perfectly. Wemby's low offensive rebound count isn't due to a lack of effort, but rather positional spacing. He's often the one contesting or drawing defenders away, allowing Cornet to crash untouched. Cornet's low defensive rebounding share is the result of Wemby claiming nearly all available defensive boards. The distribution is efficient, not uneven. Each player maximizes his zone of control without overlap. That's what makes the numbers not just impressive, but sustainable. Over an entire season, projecting these averages tells a bigger story. 12.9 and 8 rebounds per game respectively, multiplied across 82 games, equals over 1,600 combined rebounds if they maintain pace. That's a monumental figure, one that reflects the way they convert missed shots into guaranteed possessions. Their numbers also reduce opponent rebounding totals, cutting into other teams' transition opportunities. Statistically, that leads to fewer fast break chances for opponents and a slower game tempo, which heavily favors their side. The gap between them and average rebounders becomes even more obvious when you look at percentile distribution. The median NBA player sits around 5 rebounds per game, with offensive rebound percentages near 5% and defensive near 15. Wemby nearly doubles those averages on defense, and Cornet triples them on offense. The contrast is staggering. Together, they occupy both ends of the rebounding spectrum, making it impossible for opponents to exploit any weakness on the glass. Every advanced rebounding chart backs up the same story. This duo overwhelms teams statistically. They generate more total rebounds than most teams' starting front courts combined, and they do it with balance. Wemby's defensive dominance keeps possessions one-sided, and Cornet's offensive persistence keeps plays alive longer than they should last. The pairing's data-driven profile screams dominance. Clean, efficient, relentless. Opposing coaches can't game plan around those numbers because there's no trade-off to exploit. If you box out one, the other crashes in uncontested. At this point, the analytics simply confirm what the numbers shout. Wemby and Cornet control the glass like few duos ever have. 12.9 boards per game from one, 8 from the other, efficiency marks above 90 percentile, and combined control percentages pushing past 60. It's pure, sustained, rebounding superiority. Whether you focus on offensive boards, defensive stops, or total rebounding rate, the stats make one thing clear. When they share the floor, every missed shot becomes theirs, and that's statistically unfair to everyone else trying to compete. But lastly, I want to do this. When Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle share the floor, the passing numbers turn into pure control of the game's rhythm. Wemby's playmaking has quietly evolved into one of the most balanced passing profiles among bigs in the league. His assist rate sits at 16.02%, meaning he's directly creating 16% of his team's made shots while he's on the floor. That's not normal for a player his size. It's the mark of a connector who reads the court like a guard. He's averaging 3.2 assists per game, and those passes translate into 8.3 points created for teammates every night. His turnover rate, measured at 13.18%, is also low for someone who handles the ball in so many high-pressure sets. He produces 1 turnover for roughly every 8 actions that end in either a shot or turnover, showing sharp decision-making and control. The league data puts him ahead of 64% of all players in assist rate, and that's before you even factor in his 65% ranking in ball handling metrics. That's rare air for a 7-footer. Now look at De'Aaron Fox's numbers. They tell a story of efficiency and precision. Fox sits ahead of 72% of players in ball handling, which makes perfect sense when you see how smooth and decisive he is with the ball. He's averaging 3 assists per game with a 14.29% assist rate meaning he's generating 14% of teammate buckets when on the floor. That may not sound eye-popping on its own, but paired with his incredibly low turnover percentage, just 11.11, it becomes elite. He's one of the rare guards who can control pace, keep turnovers low, and still create scoring opportunities. Every one of his 3 assists produces about 8 points for teammates, which keeps his playmaking efficiency perfectly balanced with his scoring output. His ratio of assist to turnover sits at 1.5 to 1, which doesn't just indicate stability, it represents reliable, repeatable control in transition and half-court settings alike. Then comes Stephon Castle, the sophomore who's statistically carrying one of the highest playmaking loads among all guards in the league. His numbers are flat-out massive. Castle's averaging 7.4 assists per game, ranking higher than 95% of players in that category. His assist rate sits at an astounding 34.54%, meaning over 1/3 of all his team's made field goals, while he's on the court, come directly from his passing. That's elite point guard production by every standard. He's creating 19 points a game purely through assists, showing how every possession runs through his reads and timing. His ball handling metric sits at 96%, one of the best league-wide. The only area of concern is his turnover rate, which stands at 22.78%. That means nearly 1 out of every 5 offensive actions he finishes ends in a turnover. But that number also reflects his usage. Castle's tasked with initiating almost every play, which inflates those stats naturally. When you balance that turnover percentage with his assist creation, the numbers show a player who's aggressive, creative, and statistically valuable, even with the risks. When you blend these 3 together, the team's passing profile becomes incredibly balanced statistically. Wemby's assist rate at 16% gives them a front-court distributor who can swing the ball quickly from the post or perimeter. Fox's 14% rate adds steady secondary creation with minimal errors. And Castle's 34% rate provides the pure playmaking core that keeps the ball moving constantly. Combined, they account for over 64% of their team's assisted baskets when on the floor together. That's an absurd figure, signaling that nearly 2/3 of their team's made shots have one of their fingerprints on it. Statistically, that trio offers perfect stylistic balance. Castle handles the primary creation load with 7.4 assists. Fox supplies complementary playmaking from the perimeter with his 3 assists, and Wemby connects both with his front court vision at 3.2. Together, that's 13.5 assists per game among the 3, creating roughly 35 points directly through passing alone. In terms of raw efficiency, their combined turnover percentage averages to about 15%. That's extremely efficient for players who handle such a large share of offensive actions. When the ball moves between them, it almost never dies in isolation. Each one's assist to turnover ratio strengthens the others. Wemby's balanced ratio stabilizes possessions. Fox's low turnover rate keeps pace steady, and Castle's sheer volume pushes tempo. The math behind their combined performance shows why it's so tough to defend. Each of them carries a specific passing strength that complements the others. Wemby's tall enough to pass over defenders, Fox is quick enough to pass through them, and Castle's creative enough to pass around them. Statistically, their combined ball handling ratings average above 78%, well into elite team playmaking range. With Fox's 72%, Wemby's 65%, and Castle's 96%, the group's mean rating in handling pressure sits around 78%, which matches top-tier backcourts across the league. That means when these 3 handle the ball, turnovers become statistically unlikely even under tight defense pressure. Breaking it down further, Wemby's assist creation rate means that every 100 possessions, he's assisting on 16 baskets. Fox creates 14, Castle creates 34. Add that together, and they're responsible for 64 assisted field goals per 100 possessions. The team, average for even elite offenses, rarely crosses 50. Their numbers show they're generating nearly 30% more assisted production than most lineups can sustain. That's not just chemistry, it's math-based dominance. Their points created totals add another layer. Castle's 19 points generated off assists lead the pack, but Wemby's 8.3 and Fox's 8 add up to over 35 total points created every night through ball movement. That number mirrors entire teams' assist-generated scoring output. When a trio alone produces that, it's an analytics dream. Add in that their combined turnovers total around 10 per game, and you're looking at a 3.5 to 1 ratio of points generated per turnover. That's the definition of efficiency. Even their turnover percentages fit together perfectly. Castle's 22% reflects his heavy workload. Wemby's 13% and Fox's 11% keep the overall turnover control manageable. Average those percentages, weighted by their touches, and you land around 15. That means despite one high turnover player, the group's overall turnover control remains elite. When Castle takes risks, Wemby and Fox stabilize possessions through patience and clean reads. The data proves it. They're combining aggressive creation with secure decision-making. Advanced playmaking metrics also highlight how rare their balance is. Usually, when a lineup has one player above 30% assist rate, others around them drop significantly. Here though, all three maintain assist percentages above 14, keeping offensive flow consistent across positions. No single player monopolizes creation, which prevents stagnation. The distribution is clear in the stats. Castle initiates roughly 1/3 of all team assists. Wemby and Fox share the rest almost evenly. That balance translates to efficient offense and low turnover variance across possessions. Defenses statistically can't prepare for that kind of passing diversity. If they pressure Castle, his 96% ball handling rank allows him to break traps and relocate the ball safely. When he swings it to Fox, his 72% handling metric ensures quick decision-making and low risk. If the defense rotates to Fox, Wemby's 16% assist rate kicks in from the elbow or baseline, creating another scoring chance. The statistical web between them eliminates passing weak spots. Every player ranks above average in handling, creation, and turnover management. That redundancy makes their offense immune to standard traps or forced rotations. Even when you isolate each player's per possession decision-making, the efficiency stays sky high. Wemby ends roughly 21 possessions a game through shots or turnover, with only 3 of those being mistakes. Fox ends 16 per game with 2 turnovers. Castle finishes 15 with 4 to 5 miscues. But again, those result from trying to force scoring opportunities that usually succeed. The group's weighted turnover rate per 100 possessions lands near 14%, right in the elite bracket for teams that pass this much. Across advanced models, their combined passing influence projects huge scoring value. Every one of their assists leads to at least 2 points, and when multiplied by their combined 13.5 assists, it equates to about 27 raw points a game. Add the secondary assists, often not tracked directly, but evident in their movement. And that number jumps into the mid-30s. That's essentially half a team's scoring being orchestrated by these 3. From a pure passing standpoint, the efficiency gap they create is enormous. Even more telling is how the stats distribute leadership without redundancy. Castle dominates playmaking with 7+ assists. Wemby stabilizes through interior distribution at 3.2. Fox bridges the gap with perimeter reads at 3 flat. Their combined assist-to-turnover ratio sits around 1.3 to 1, right in line with top offensive trios historically. That's with one being a sophomore, one a scoring guard, and one a 7-foot creator. The numbers shouldn't fit this neatly, but they do. Ball handling data reinforces the same conclusion. Castle's 96% rank makes him one of the best dribblers in the league already. Fox's 72% rating complements that with controlled tempo and steady movement. Wemby's 65% ranking for a big is unheard of. Together, that averages out to a team-level ball handling mark better than most backcourts. When your tallest player ranks that high in handling and creation, the stats show a blueprint for mismatch offense. When you sum it all up, the numbers speak for themselves. Wemby generates 3.2 assists at 16% creation with 13% turnovers. Fox adds 3 assists at 14% creation with 11% turnover. Castle delivers 7.4 assists at 34% creation despite 22% turnovers. Combined, they average over 13 assists and 35 points created a night, while controlling turnovers to about 10. Their collective ball handling ranking averages above 78%, and their playmaking output dominates nearly every advanced category. In short, the stats prove their passing. Synergy's not just productive, it's statistically unfair to anyone trying to contain them. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.